Well, hello everyone again. Today we're going to have Deepti join us on stage. She is the Director of Product Management of SaaS and Enterprise Applications at Nutanix. She's extremely passionate about diversity, equity, inclusion, being a constant learner, and SaaS transformations, of course. So everyone, please welcome Deepti to the stage.
Is this working now? Is this okay? Thank you so much, Mary, and welcome everyone, and thanks again for attending this session. So let's get started. So a little bit about myself. So I'm from India, been in Valley for 12 years now, been in the industry for 15 plus years, an avid learner. That's one defining principle from my alma mater that stuck with me, student always. So I always look for new opportunities to learn and go from there. And as you can see, I have 3 young boys who keep me on my toes all the time. Are the slides showing up? No. Okay, here we go. Okay. So I'm just learning that how this thing works. So in terms of experience, I worked with Oracle, Cisco, and NetApp, and now I'm with Nutanix for the last 3.5 years, and I've been very involved in SaaS transformations at NetApp and now at Nutanix as well. So would like to share my journey with you. Thank you so much. Let's get started. What is SaaS transformation? Anyone here wants to take a stab at it? What it is? All smart business technology people. Anyone wants to take a stab? Sure, go ahead. Okay, so what he's saying is to make a company who doesn't have software. That's on the right direction, yes. So what is SaaS transformation? Anyone, let me age myself here, anyone here remembers when we used to get those CDs to install Microsoft Office or Adobe Photoshop? After a year, they will release a new version and we are now stuck. Do I need to pay more? Because every time you upgrade, it's going to be a lengthy process and it's going to be very expensive. So that was a consumer point of view. Now you amplify it for an organization point of view where they are making those infrastructure decisions. So that's what leads us to this traditional model of SaaS, of doing the business, where it's perpetual and rigid. You have super high upfront costs that you have to incur, and then of course, since you're spending so much of money and making decisions for long term, it's going to be very long sales cycle. And of course, as we just heard, that upgrade and refresh are going to be very painful as well. And now move that from traditional to the new way of doing business, which is essentially SaaS. You pay what you use for. You don't have to sign up for the big contracts upfront and pay them upfront. Your cost is very low to sign up. It's not a sticky model per se. Your switching cost is low from that perspective. You acquire customers fast, and you always are on the latest track because you don't need to upgrade or refresh. You are automatically getting that. So moving from traditional to new way of doing things is essentially the transformation that you have to go through. But that transformation cannot be done in a day, and that transformation is not easy. So I'll walk you through the journey that you have to think about, that how to approach about this transformation and how a business technology team can actually get a seat at the table during the transformation and pave the way for transformation. All good? All excited? Okay. So what are the companies that are SaaS? So this is just a small landscape of companies which are on SaaS. If your company is not there or not in the path to get there, make sure that you take that action now and get there, because this is the way to do business in future. Okay, and little history. It's not new concept, even though we started hearing about it maybe 10 years ago when Adobe was going through this transformation, or when we saw Office 365 coming in. It's not a new concept. 1961, that's eons ago, John McCarthy at MIT Centennial said that the computing that they are building now is going to be a utility, like your water bill and electricity bill, and that is where we are now. We got that AWS bills, Google Cloud bills, and all that stuff. So this is not a new thing. It just took us very long to get here. Okay, so when we are thinking about a subscription business, your mode of center change. It's not just selling. You have to think everything from a customer perspective. So customer is your center. Once you sell, your job doesn't end there. That is when you just landed the deal. You have to make sure that you work with your customer to adopt your solution. because only when they adopt, you can actually see, they can see the value, and you can actually expand and get more of their share of wallet, because that is what you let them expand and then renew. So this wheel of subscription actually then starts kicking in. So it's not just a selling, it's more about like landing the deal, adopting, expanding, and then renewing. And then it becomes a very sticky kind of a business, and you have the predictability of the revenue that is so well appreciated by Wall Street. As we all know, when Adobe was doing the transformation, their stock took a hit, but see after the transformation where they are now. They did it 10 years ago. They were the pioneers who actually made this thing like really, really cool to do as well. It was painful for them. It took them an year to even get the financial buy-in from internal stakeholders. So now if you move forward, so what are the things that you need to think about when you're starting that journey, or even if you're in the middle, you have already started, but you don't know where you're going. So what are the key things to look about? So of course, I said our central focus has to be customer. Everything has to be customer driven. If you're not thinking about the customer, that means you cannot do that wheel. Because if you just think about selling, getting money in the short term, you are not going to get that predictability in your revenue, or you are not going to deliver that value to the customer. So if your customer is the central, then what are you selling? Because it's a business. You want to make money. You don't want to leave money on the table, and you don't want to sell it for free. So your offer or the product solution that you sell has to be in a way that you can actually measure it. You can check that, okay, people are compliant with it, and you can enforce it, and they can come and upgrade. Your upgrade and support also has to be like top notch for customers to stay with you. So you have to first think about your product. Then comes selling. Because you are selling to a customer now, and sales for a subscription versus sales for the traditional model is very different. Even the sellers need very different tools and applications that they need. Because when you're selling new, you just need to know about the competitive landscape. Not just actually, you need to know a lot more, because you need to know what the competition is, where your customers today are, what kind of applications they are running, and how you can go and sell them. But when you are doing this subscription wheel, and when you have to expand, you need to know your customer even better, because they have an install base already with you. So you need to know your install base, you need to see what is coming up for renewal, how do you make it easier for them to co-term, renew, and all those kind of things. And at the end, then comes architecture, technical architecture, because the tools needed for new sale versus renewal sales are very different. So you need to provide that information on the fingertips for renewals as well, not just for sales for the competition. Last, but the most important one is finance. Because that is where the wheel stops. If you're not getting the money, you do not have the buy-in from internal stakeholders and external stakeholders, you cannot do that. You need to have that buy-in from the top level, and you have to have that alignment throughout the company to get to that model. So these are the 4 key transformation focus areas that you have to have when you're doing the journey. And I'll go through the example of how Nutanix did that, so that will come in future slides. Okay, so moving on to the next one. What is Nutanix? Anyone here familiar with Nutanix? I know one person, but anyone else? What is Nutanix? Or anyone knows about Nutanix? You know about it? Okay. You want to share what you know about Nutanix? No? Okay. So let me just, I'll not go in the whole discussion about Nutanix, but very quick. Nutanix is, as you can see from the Gartner chart also, we are leader in HCI. What is HCI? Hyper-converged infrastructure. That's the space that was created by Nutanix. So when you say hyper-converged infrastructure, we are into virtualization. So we are virtualizing software, storage, we are virtualizing network, and we are virtualizing compute. So when you virtualize all these things, that is when the virtualization completes. So we are right there with VMware, if you see. So we are the leaders in that space. Little bit of customers that we have on Nutanix. So you can see we cater to tons and tons of different customers in various gamut of space. So for us, when we did the subscription transformation, it was not an easy thing, because we have federal customers, which are very strong needs. Then we have consumer-based companies. Then we have infrastructure, hotel, all possible gamut of industries that we have. Now a little bit about the journey of Nutanix, how Nutanix started. Nutanix was founded in 2009. So our founders were like, they were wanted to change the space, infrastructure space. So this company was founded in 2009. And when we were founded, we were like a very standard hardware, software box kind of a company. We had our own hardware, software was installed on it, and we were shipping boxes. So from 2009 to 2016, that is what we were doing, and then we went IPO. So we went IPO, and that is when the macroeconomics was also changing, world was changing, moving more towards software. So we are still continuing in super, I would say, R&D in hardware, because software has to run on something. So we are still investing a lot in our hardware in R&D as well, but we turned to software. Well, let me explain a little what does it mean when we say that we became a software company. So we started selling our hardware at pass-through. So we are getting it for contract manufacturer, we are selling it at pass-through. So we are not taking that revenue of hardware on our books. We only are selling software because we believe our most value we are delivering is through software. So software revenue is coming on our books, but hardware is just going at the cost. We are buying it at a cost and selling it at a cost. So we have been doing those changes throughout the journey. So that is how our subscription journey has been. Then we moved to the term-based 2019. So the term-based was more like we are selling software, but we are selling software for 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, 5 year, sticky terms from that perspective. So that is when our software transformation was complete, that okay, we now sell software, our hardware portion kept on reducing, and it ultimately went down to like single digit percentage of our revenue. Then 2019 we started another transformation, the wheel that I talked about. That is when we started that, okay, we see where market is going. We cannot just stay as a software company that is selling software for 5 years. To sell subscription, you have to sell the term that a customer wants. It could be 13 months, it could be 15 months. And every time you are selling a different term, you don't want to have a different product to be launched. So that is where we move to the subscription configurable options, which are table stakes for any subscription offer, that you sell for the term that customer is looking for. You let them co-term, you let them upgrade, you let them downgrade, and that is the transformation that we started in 2019 and took us, we're still there. It's not fully done, but we are almost there with the transformation that we did. So now let's get into the method that how we did it. So as I talked about 4 key facets of that journey, so we'll go through those now. So the first one was our offer. When we started this journey, we started looking at our offers. So 10-year-old company, grew organically, acquired a few companies. So you can see that our product portfolio was like huge. And the way we were measuring them, someone was measured by nodes, some is by core, some is by flash, tips, so multiple ways. Even internal sellers and our product managers, internal company is getting confused at what are we selling? We just have too many things that we are selling. We are not selling the solutions. So that mindset shift, that instead of selling this disparate array of products, let's sell solutions. So we consolidated our offers. We consolidated our offers to the few solution-based offerings, and we spun off a few products, even though we acquired them 6-7 years ago. But when we saw that they do not align with our subscription vision, they do not align with our core, we went ahead and divested from them as well. So that was one thing. Then comes the sales. So when you're doing this transformation and your sales is so used to sell at the total contract value and getting that money at upfront based on the total value that they're selling. And now you tell them that we are moving to ACV, which is annual contract value, or based on the ARR, MRR. It's a huge change. You still want your sales to be fully engaged in selling, but now they are worried about the comp that they're getting, the quotas that are getting set. So what we did is we built the tools and enabled them to see comparison before we shifted. For a few quarters, they could actually see that, okay, in my current model, this is what I will get, this is how my quota is going to look at. I'm still going to get paid on that so that we're not changing it. But if you change your quota to a different model and different ACV based thing, this is how numbers are going to look like. So all those mental games that are going on, so we actually elevated those by giving them that comparison for multiple quarters, so that when we do the switch, it doesn't cause a chaos. So it has to be like very well orchestrated from the system level, from the people level, from the business level, from that perspective. And in terms of the architecture and tools, as I was telling you earlier also, that tools that are required for subscriptions are very different than the tools that you need for regular business, because now you need to have a way to measure, a way to bill, a way to show to renewals as well that this is what is coming in your pipeline. So we went ahead and built our tools from in-house, from the ground up. Now, I know we had a few presentations today. One was about the managed packages, that go and buy managed packages, do the RFP. And then another one was going on that build custom packages also. So when time came for us to look at our subscription business, that how do we wheel these renewals, we actually installed some package, managed package, and that fell flat. We spent an year in implementing that, and it did not even meet maybe 20% of our needs. So we scrapped that and built something ground up in-house in half the time, no additional resources, and that package has been reserved. No, shouldn't call it a package, but that application has been, I would say, gotten such a positive response from our sales that they're like, this is something that they could never even dream of, that something like this can be done. Because this has given them information at their fingertips. So that has been key for our subscription transformation, for our renewals and our ARR and ACV wheel to kick quickly. And in terms of the finance, of course, there were concerns from our CFOs and our executives as well that if we are going through this channel when the strategy was being built, that we are going to go through this subscription, what would it do to our stock price? What would it do to our revenue? Because before we went on the journey, we were always projecting on TCV, that this is how our revenues are going to be. But now we have shifted. We are no longer presenting on TCV, we are moving to ACV. So there were a lot of investor days done so that our investors are not concerned, that they know the strategy. And of course, this was all first agreed at the board level before it all went. And we revamped our accounting and revenue system, because subscription revenue is completely different than the regular revenue. So all four things were going in motion to get us there where we are in terms of subscription. Any questions on this? I know this was a lot, yeah.
Was it harder to convince internal or like the board about?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Was it harder to convince like internal stakeholders or the board to change your?
I would say for us, it was harder to convince them that we can execute. Because if you see, as I was mentioning earlier, our ex-CEO is at board at Adobe as well. So Adobe, Microsoft, these companies have already paved the way for us. So from that perspective, this was something that was well appreciated and well received, that you should do it. But there were concerns that how will you execute on it? Because this is such a big task and you have to change all facets of the company, that how would you execute? So convincing on the execution, showing that strategy and convincing everyone internally and externally, that was a big thing. And we actually, our stock did take a hit when we actually started on this transformation, because we are not yet profitable. So all those kind of things do matter, that first you are not profitable yet and then you are changing the model. Will you be able to execute on it or not? Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, sure. Any other question? Okay. Moving on. So how did we do it? How did a business technology team get a seat at a table for this transformation? I know this is a little busy slides. This is how our SaaS engineering team is structured. So our mission is essentially that we will drive our world-class customer, partner, and employee experiences through the data-driven innovation. So anything in the company that has to be done in any of these areas, whether it's marketing, sales, operations, customer support, people, engineering, they all centrally come to SaaS engineering. So SaaS engineering supports all of these functions in the company. And none of the transformation or none of the work that we are doing for the business critical things can be done without us. And we actually have a very important stake in the ground when we are discussing about these. And if you see this Rajiv Ramaswamy, who is our CEO, his statement is that SaaS engineering is the operating system of Nutanix. That without SaaS engineering, none of the transformations at Nutanix can be done. So that is the kind of role that our business technology team has in the company. So one thing that we really, really believe in is that we are a product team. We are not order takers. We are order creators. So as I was talking about the renewal engine, that was not something that was given to us. We identified that opportunity, that gap, went and built it. And that too, when there were tons of naysayers that you guys cannot do it, you do not understand what you are undertaking. We have years and years of experience of doing it through Excels. How can you even codify it? So those were the kind of people will come and say in our leadership meetings, you guys don't understand what you are taking, go do it if you want to, no support from us. So we negotiated with them and we got one person who had the depth of knowledge that give us just this one person, give his commitment and we'll do it. And it took us 6 to 8 months to build that engine, and now those naysayers are actually our champions. They go and tell anything, don't buy anything from outside, go to SaaS engine and they'll do it better than you. So that is the kind of trust that we have built, because we delivered, we are outcome driven, and we do not take anything naysayers, we are actually ready to take them on, and actually that encourages us and that motivates us to do more. Okay, and how are we building our innovation muscle? So SaaS engineering is not just a business technology team or an application team. We do our technology workshops, we do our product brainstormings, we do our product idea hub, and very recently, this September, we actually did our first SaaS engineering hackathon as well. This was not a Nutanix-wide hackathon, that is done once a year, but we did just our own hackathon as well, and we had 40 projects that were presented, and from the various problem states that they were solving, from sales, marketing, and all other different areas. And this is how the whole wheel for the innovation also keeps on running, that motivates the people to do more, go above and beyond, find the opportunities, find the ideas, and not look for ideas coming from outbound areas. And is our infrastructure pretty simple? No. So this is how our enterprise stack look like. It is simpler than what I have seen at other places, because we have been very, very deliberate at what to build, what to buy, and how to control our customer experience. But this is pretty complicated as well. If you see from external that my.nutanix.com and anything that is in blue line, X-ray, partner portal, corrector, these are all custom suite of applications that we have built. These are custom products essentially. And then of course we have industry standard CRM, ERP, billing systems, human capital management, tax, and that renewal engine is also our ingrown home-built application. And then we used all industry standard, best of the class products, and we forced them to actually customize also if required. So, and for SSO, for internal users, we have SSO as well. Any questions on this? Okay. Let's go to the next one. We are coming towards the end of the talk in terms of how do we do our ratable subscription architecture. So this is another architecture that we have for a ratable subscription, because subscription you need to measure them, you need to meter them, and then you need to invoice them. So there also we are not exposing our managed packages to the customer. So we have built homegrown products that our customers are using, and from there we are sourcing that information. We are architecting that in a way that it goes to our various systems, and everything is still available through our data layer and at the Tableau for all our data analytics. Okay, any questions on this? Moving forward, coming to key takeaways. So first thing is that you build the culture. Although technical people are very prone to getting into the how, so you build a culture that before you get into how, understand the why. Because once you get too deep into how, you actually lose the focus that why we are even doing it. So build that culture of asking why before you decide on how, and keep that power with you. Do not let your stakeholders decide and tell you that how you should do it. So you draw those boundaries that they know what and why, and you know the how best. But your team should know why and what, because if you do not know what and why, you are probably leaving things aside that you could actually solve them differently. So definitely build that culture in your team. Do not let them shy away from asking questions. No dumb questions. That's the rule we follow, that even sometimes people get offended that why are you asking this question, shouldn't matter to you. No, it does matter to me. I'm working on it, I have to know it. If you cannot tell, I'm not gonna move anything on this. So building that culture of knowing what and why is one key takeaway that I would say. And next one, do not limit yourself what's available in the market. Because I know it feels that, okay, we are not building rocket science. Why do I need to go and build from homegrown? There are so many other companies who have solved this problem. That means something out there exists. But if it doesn't work for you, you look at what you need for your company. Ultimately, it's your company's success that matters. And if it doesn't exist, go build it. So that's the mantra that we go by. We try hard first to see if there is anything that we can fit in. But then at the end of the day, you see the ROI. Like, to give you an example, there are plenty of CPQs available in the market. Plenty of CPQ. We had a CPQ that we were running for years. And then we saw that it was not meeting our needs. Every time we are hitting a problem, we are getting the answer, oh, this does not exist. It's the standard. Other companies are doing it, why can't you guys go and do it? We completely nixed that. We built a homegrown CPQ from scratch in 6 months. And I've been in so many other companies. At no other company, a sales kickoff starts by saying that our CPQ solution is amazing. So that is how our sales kickoff started last year, where our CRO started, his first slide was, my sales tools are awesome. And our frontline tool that we have built, that tool was positioned at top, front and center there, because that is how the value that we are providing to the team. And sales did not come and tell us that go build frontline. It was more like we saw that every time we are running into a challenge. And we have someone in the audience here who was one of the members to build that as well. So these are the kind of things that we don't take things for granted, and we just we don't make excuses. We go and build it if it's not working. And to tie that with the last one, be the order creator. I have not seen that being done at a lot of places, but I think that is where it drives the value. Do not be the order taker. At least be the order shaper. If not, ideal goal should be to be the order creator, but that's a journey. So before you, technically all the places I've seen business technology teams are more like order taker, but you be the order shaper. So then slowly you will get that seat at the table and you can become order creator. So if one thing that you can take from it, be the order creator. Be that, let that be your North Star. Thank you. Any questions?
Any questions for Deepti? Hey.
Hello, great session. My question is about the enterprise tech stack diagram you showed earlier. So, yeah, the one before. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, what part of this did you build versus buy?
So, if you see X-Ray is the portal that we have built. That's essentially to do competitive sizing for our customers because we are in infrastructure. Then partner portal is where our partner comes and see that, their information. Collector is essentially another tool that we have to collect the metrics from various customers. Sizer is another application where customer come and size their applications and see what kind of quote they need to give. So it's a kind of a tool that tells them that what to buy from Nutanix essentially. Frontline is our CPQ that we have built homegrown. Billing is our billing portal that also customer faces. So all these applications are customer or external facing as well. Licensing, where anyone who has bought Nutanix stuff can go and see their licensing portal. Support is where customer come and ask for support. Any support that they need on any of their clusters and anything. And one-click APIs are of course APIs. So those are our homegrown application, and REST and renewal engine. That is also our homegrown application. REST are more like industry standard things that we have used and customized from there on.
Okay. My background is people tech, so my question is, do you get requests to build something for HCM, and are you
Yes, HCM, we have Workday as an HCM, and we have integration team. We have built tons of integrations through Workday. Like we recently did a PECI integration with them, and then we have Slack bots that we have built. We are very heavy in Slack. So we have pretty much all the CRM, ERP, billing, everything we have integrated with Slack also. So we do get all that.
Thank you.
I'll use a mic this time. Really enjoy the talk. I think it was really inspiring, especially when when you get a lot of naysayers or whatever hit you. What do you see as sort of the next big tackle for your team as you have this measure of success, as you're going and you're rebuilding things? What do you see as next for your team in sort of this innovation space, and how do you determine, what are your metrics for, yes, this exists but doesn't quite serve our needs, versus it's actually critical that we build this internally?
Yeah, so I think that's the question that we are dealing internally as well, that we are very good at executing. So now, where do we go next from here? So what we have added to our charter now is that we have been doing things for subscription transformation for last few years. We have been I would say, head deep in it all the time. So now next thing we're looking at is that how can we come up with products that could be needle mover for Nutanix? When I say products, we are not going to build products that we are selling to our customers, but more like what other products we can build for our sales and partners, because our partner, I would say, view has been a little bit on the lacking side. So we are finding areas where our business stakeholders are a little bit behind where our competitors are. So we are doing that research, and that is where we want to bring them to that space. So essentially finding where our competition is in terms of next tech for those things. Does that help?
It does, yeah.
Yeah, so getting to that, we have been order shaper to creator. Now we want to be needle mover for Nutanix, to take Nutanix to next level. So that is where our mission is for next 2 years.
Great, thank you.
Do you think SaaS engineering is only maybe applicable to a certain stage within the company? So let's say prior to 2016, would it have been a good idea before the IPO, when you guys were growing really, really fast?
Yeah, I would say very good question. That now we are at our place, in hindsight look like, yes, this is the way to do things. But 6 years ago, whether this would have been a good thing to do or not. So I think, so you're talking about 2016 when we did IPO. I would say having that long-term vision never hurts. Whether you can structure your team like that at that point in time or not, it depends how big of a company you are, right? Because it's a very different, because what took us to 2022 is not going to take us farther. So that is where we are now. I don't think there is a clear yes or no here. It actually depends where your company is, what talent you have, because 2016, you need to have resources to hire those leaders as well, right? So when you are very early on, you want to have all heads down, but you probably need 1 or 2 people to have that vision for the long term as well, who can execute towards that. So there's no, I would say, black and white answer over here. But now I can confidently say that why we have been successful so far is the way the team is structured, the way our leaders have taken conscious bets and decisions to structure it the way it is. Okay.
Any last questions? Okay, well, if we can get another round of applause for Deepti, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.